All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Parental Playbook Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Hayes, and we have a very special guest joining us today, veteran NFL player, legend at Howard University. Sean, have you been inducted to the Howard University Hall of Fame yet?
No, not as an individual, but on our defense there. Yeah.
Right, our 87 team went in. I'm going to have to start a campaign to get Sean Vanhorse, our special guest today, into the Howard University Hall of Fame.
We'll see.
You know, you got a Super Bowl, you got what, 10 years of NFL experience? I mean, it's been a nice run for you in your athletic career.
It has, and I'm not a self promoter, so whatever happens, happen. If it happens, that's great. If it doesn't happen, I'm still satisfied with what I did at Howard and what I did with my career. So it's all good.
Yeah, man. I mean, I remember you getting off the bus and being a starter immediately and thinking to myself, okay, because I had just transferred from Texas, El Paso. And I'm thinking to myself, why is this guy at Howard? Like, he's better than like almost all the DBs at UTEP. Like, he should be playing D1 ball somewhere. How did you decide to come to Howard?
Well, I mean, it's all about placement and opportunity, brother. A little known fact that I walked on at Howard. So
No
I
way.
didn't know I did. So Coach Ward, who was the offensive coordinator at Howard, was my high school football coach and track coach. And
Huh?
our high school, Coach Ward had left, went to Howard, and our high school football team wasn't that great. We had a lot of individual talent, but as a whole, we didn't have a lot of resources. So we wasn't a great. We played a lot of private schools in Baltimore who had a lot more
Hmm.
resources than we did. And so at the time, our high school's football record wasn't that great. And my best friend, James Garland, who also played at Howard, who you know,
Yes, sir.
Coach Ward came back and recruited him. He played in the Big 33 game, a lot of different things, and he was recruited by Maryland and a lot of schools. And Coach Ward had come back to recruit him, and I think he was signing his letter of intent to go to Howard. And obviously, I still had a great relationship with Coach Ward, and Coach Ward was like, "So, Sean, what are you doing or whatever?" I'm like, "Man, I'm either going to the Maryland Eastern Shore, who at that time didn't have a football program, right?
What?
No, I was going probably to somewhere in the armed forces. And he
What?
said, yeah. So he knew me. He knew my character. He knew my athletic ability and all those things. And he said, won't you come walk on at Howard and see how you do? And then probably you'll get a scholarship by the end of your first semester or whatever. And to what your point is, another high school player of ours who left maybe a year or two before us, he was a high school All-American, recruited by everybody. I just go to his house. He had a box full of letters and everything. He was a star quarterback. And he
Right.
was an outstanding cornerback at University of Tennessee. And when he used to
Okay.
come home, I used to train with him. And he used to say, "Hey, man, you're just as good as these other guys at Tennessee or whatever, whatever, based on
Right.
technique, athleticism, or whatever." But, it just didn't pan out that way for me from a opportunity standpoint, from a
Okay.
scholarship standpoint. But, it worked out. Coach Ward, brought me up to Howard that summer, that spring. I played well, did well, showed that I could compete. And then after my first semester, Coach Jeffries brought me in his office and offered me a scholarship. But that first semester, I was a walk-on at Howard. Yeah.
Wow. I wouldn't have believed you if you told me that when we was in school,
Yeah, man.
but I still can't believe it, you know? But, the 80s was a different time.
Yeah.
When we was coming out of school, a lot of football programs only recruited the South, and, Jersey for some reason was very popular back then. But yeah, so it's all about being seen, having the right people promoting you back then. We didn't have social media and all these different ways to see talent. So yeah, it was a different ball of wax back
And
then.
Baltimore was a hoop town. They was
Right.
hooping.
Right.
So, but
Yeah.
we still had a lot of excellent football players that come out of Baltimore.
No doubt.
but it was known for its basketball more so than football at that particular time.
Absolutely. Just like New York, where
Yeah,
I
yeah,
came from,
absolutely.
you know. Yeah, especially the five boroughs. And then, Westchester, where I was from, we had some really good high school basketball up there. So, wow, that just blew my mind, man. That is an amazing story. I'm telling everybody that story next time I get a chance. Man, look, this is crazy. So let's fast forward. You get to the NFL and like here you are thinking, man, I might go to the armed forces or not even play college football. Next thing you know, you're in the NFL. What was that like?
Well, it was a lot of hard work in between that, and
Yeah.
obviously I didn't go to Howard thinking that was going to be a goal of mine to play off. Just like any kid that plays sports, you dream and say, "Hey, that's something I would aspire to do." But it kind of worked out for me. My last year, well, it wasn't exactly my last year, but there was a coaching change. Coach Jeffries and his staff went down to South Carolina State, and Coach Wilson and his staff came in. Coach Wilson obviously was a Howard grad and former Denver
Hmm.
Bronco, played there for a lot of years, and much of his staff played in the NFL, and especially my defensive back coach, Roger Jackson, who kind of just, recognized my talent and hard work and everything and kind of grew me and put in my mind that, hey, man, I've played on the next level, and I see the abilities that you have. This is something that you can do based on your abilities, based on your hard work, based on your work ethic. Uh, so you should start working with the intent in mind that could be a obtainable goal. And once I got that
Nice.
from them and that type of encouragement and backing, then it just took off from there. From that day forward, it wasn't a day that went by that I didn't do something or felt like I had to do something to get better in some aspect. And it just started snowballing where I was like, if I'm not working, and the next guy is getting better than me. So I used to hope that it
Hmm.
rain or snow or do something so I can work because in my mind I knew he's not working in this snow, so I got one up on him. So that's the kind of
Right.
mindset it start, transforming with me to get there. And when they talk about manifestation, I think
Yeah.
I believe in that type of stuff. And as you start moving towards that goal, that goal start moving towards you.
Yes, absolutely. Manifestation, visualization, affirmation, the power of the mind is
It is.
unimaginable. Yeah, man. And I'm a heavy proponent in that as well. Tell me a little bit about your NFL experience. We all know the NFL stands for not for long, but you hung around, and made a good life out of it. Did you expect that going in that you could stick around for, as long as you did?
Well, it's hard to say, what you expect to do. You just want to go there. You want to show that you can play and get opportunities, and what happens happens. It's like you say, it's not for long, and really coming in, you don't even know the nature of the business. You think it's like high school. You think it's like college. You think but it's totally different. Obviously, the college game is changing now, but this is strictly business, right? Is athleticism, is entertainment, but it's busy, it's business. So whether or not the longevity of your career is not just about talent. It's about a lot of other things. Talent plays a major role, of course, but anybody and everybody who gets an opportunity to play or participate or be a part of a team, professional team, they have the talent, right? They have the talent, so that's
Yeah.
that's the least
Yeah.
part of it. It's about being a good teammate. It's about having good work ethic. It's about showing up and being accountable. All those different things play a major role in the longevity of you playing, how many years you're going to play, and all those different things. So you begin to understand the nature of the business, how it works, how to matriculate around that, and obviously continue to grow as an athlete.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, the other reason we're on the call today is that your son is about to participate in probably the biggest game of his life. You played in a Super Bowl with the Chargers against a buzzsaw of a 49er team. What do you think is the most valuable lesson you learned in the NFL that you could share with Solomon, who's playing for the Indiana Hoosiers? against the Crimson Tide of Alabama in about a week or
Yeah,
so.
I think I share a lot with him about mindset and approach. Right, the circumstances of where you are, it matters, but it doesn't matter. Whatever you actually do. We used to have this saying in the league, the more you can do, right? The more you can do, the longer you're gonna be around. You adding value to your team, you adding value. And so that's what I try to always press upon him is like, hey, everybody on your team can play, right? Some people gonna get more opportunities to play than others, but when you show up, be a good teammate. When you show up and be a good person, when you show up working hard day in and day out, as if you were when you starting and when you're not starting, those things the coaches recognize, and you adding value to your team. So the more you can do, whether it's special teams, whether it's position work, whether it's just teaching the younger guys, things that they need to know and read and be better. No matter what your position on as a team, be a good teammate, be a good person, and work hard every day and prepare as if you are a starter if you're not. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. When you were preparing for the Super Bowl, what was kind of, your mindset, going into that game? I can't even remember who, was a favorite. I know you guys had a nice run, with the Chargers back then. But, San Francisco was San Francisco. They were kind of the preeminent franchise, if you will, at the time. So what was it like getting ready to battle Jerry Rice, John Taylor, those guys, to be ready to make sure that you weren't going there just to compete. You were going
Well,
there to win, to get that championship.
the odds makers didn't think we were going there to compete, but no. Oddly enough, that year we faced San Francisco several times. We went up to their place during training camp, spent a week there practicing with them. Had a preseason game with those guys, so that was the beginning of it. And then we faced them once again. I believe it was in the season or maybe the last preseason game, but I think it was in the season. And they had a juggernaut of a team there. That was the year that Dion had first went there, and they felt like he was the missing piece to help get them over the hump of the Cowboys at that particular time. And Steve Young was their quarterback who was trying to get past the Joe Montana era, and he had several cracks at it and wasn't able to get over there. And they felt like this was their team to make that happen. We had just had a
Mm.
coaching change in San Diego with Coach Ross. Bobby Ross came in, and like you said, we had a tremendous run that year. Won, I think, I don't know, 10 straight games and all those different things, over at San Diego to get there. But oddly enough, we had faced San Francisco several times prior to facing them in the Super Bowl. So we know the type of team they had, we know the type of talent they had, and we know that they was going to be a hard nut to crack in that Super Bowl game, which showed what held true. What held true. They did what they were supposed to do. I don't think we played our best game in that game, but people who have not played in that game, that whole day of that game is totally different from the regular season and what you do, the playoff games and everything that you're accustomed to adjust. So there is some sort of truth in being there before. Players and teams that's been there before, because they kind of get a better idea on how to deal with it, the timing of it. The game is so late in the evening, unlike any other game, unlike any other Minnesota Monday night game. So it kind of throws your timing and rhythm off if you're not used to it. But there's been teams that overcome that. And I don't think we played our best game that day, but it was definitely a blessing to be there as I look back on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. So let's fast forward and talk a little bit more about Solomon now. And met your wife at Howard University. She was a cheerleader there. Intimately familiar with the program. Tell me a little bit about his struggles at Indiana and how you got him through. You mentioned to me the other day when we were talking that he had a couple of medical red shirts. I don't know that I could have played through 2 medical red shirts and still stay with it. What kind of conversations were you having as a family
Well,
to convince him to keep going?
sports, no matter what sport you play, Injury is 100%. And an injury never happens at a great time. Anytime you get injured, you're like, man, why did it have to happen now? Right? It don't matter if it was the off season or during the season,
Right.
and to have multiple injuries happen to you, you kind of figuring out like a lot of stuff is going through your mind as an athlete. Is this for me? I have goals and some things I want to attain. I'm grooving the way I want to. I'm moving. I'm playing. I'm doing a lot of good stuff. I'm being recognized. And now I get this injury. So we just always encouraged him to, hey, this too shall pass, and things don't happen to you. They happen for you. Right. I think that was the major point that I want to get across to him. Like, hey, take this time, because you've been your whole life you've been a football player, right? You never really sat back and figured out outside of training, outside of working, because collegiate sports is a big deal, man. You training and working all through the season, every summer, everything. So you never really, a lot of times athletes don't get a time to focus and hone in. What other interests do I have outside of this sport? And I think
Yeah.
when he had his first injury and was sitting back, so we
Sure.
was like, man, take this time, rehab vigorously. You're going to come back. Take this time and pick up something that you enjoy, but you hadn't had time to really think about or work on. And I think he found some solace in photography, right? He picked up a camera, he started taking pictures. So I think, that helped him through that void of not playing, through the void of injury, through the void of rehab. And, we've always encouraged him to just be the best he can be. Help your teammates. Go to the practice, go to the film room, talk to them about what you see, the younger guys, because he's a very smart, intelligent football player that knows a lot about the game. So help your teammates. Still be a part of the team. Don't separate yourself. Still stay connected. And I think that's where he really found his interest outside of football and stayed true to who he was and always continued to work. So that's what we try to preach to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice, man. And, the fact that he found solace in
Absolutely.
photography, he can always turn that into a career. Yeah. And then talk to me a little bit about his relationship with Coach Signetti, because and I don't know if he said it or not, but I saw a social media post and his
Yeah,
comment
yeah,
was,
yeah.
Google me, I win. Right. So, what a blessing for, Solomon. And it speaks to you and your wife's leadership and parenting skills, that coach would bring him from James Madison to Indiana, and basically take care of him through these injuries
Yeah. So
and keep him as a part of the
Solomon's
program.
redshirt freshman year is when Coach Signetti came into James Madison, right? And obviously his true freshman year, he redshirted.
Okay.
That was Houston. Houston had moved on to East Carolina. Coach Signetti, Coach Signetti was at Elon, and James Madison played Elon. And that particular year, they lost to Elon, right? So after the offseason, Coach Signetti comes in, and my me and my wife's message to Solomon was because he had told us, like, listen, he redshirted. This was his first time. He never really played on the field, all through like high school and all that stuff. So we was like, hey, listen, man, Coach don't know you from anybody else. Coach coming here, he looking for players. He's trying to establish himself here, and the kind of guy Coach is that if you can play, he's going to play you. He's going to give you an opportunity because he wants to win. And that summer, when Coach Nettie came in and Solomon came back, he was on fire. And all you heard in the papers was how well Solomon was doing up at James Madison, this young red shirt freshman guy who's taking over and doing this and doing that. So and Coach Nettie was like, I'm going to use this
Nice.
kid to motivate some of my older guys. And like, if y'all not outworking him, he's going to play. So first game, we in West Virginia. The offense was, just doing okay. Running back had fumbled. He threw Solomon in the game, and Solomon made some spectacular runs and went on and scored his first collegiate touchdown against West Virginia. Kind of caught his groove. So Coach Nettie is the kind of guy, if you're going to play, if you're going to work hard, if you're going to be accountable, I'm going to play you. I don't really care. And that's what happened. And his injuries happened at James Madison back to back years. The first injury, well, he tore his groin
Okay.
and had to go and have surgery. He kind of came back from that during the season, and he broke his fifth metatarsal. He had foot surgery, so he was out. And this was like before the fourth game. And
Jeez.
this was a year or two after his redshirt freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
So he was out, didn't play much because he was rehabbing, had a bunch of injuries, those two injuries in particular. Then come back the next year after rehabbing the foot and the groin, only to, in the first game, re-break the foot. Right, so that was his deal. He broke the foot the year before, got a screw
Oh,
put in, rehab, came back the following season. First play of the game, was balling, re-broke the other foot. But that says a lot about Coach Signetti, because that was at James Madison,
oh,
and then Coach Signetti got the job
yes.
at Indiana, which is, big boy FBS football. Although they played a great brand of football at James Madison, and they had moved into the
Mm-hmm.
Sun Belt, and they were starting to dominate the Sun Belt and do all
Sure.
those different things. But for you to bring a kid up there with you
Mm-hmm.
at Indiana who technically hadn't really played in the last 2 years due to injury, that shows a lot about Eddie. That shows a lot about Solomon and his character and his work ethic. Because scholarships ain't cheap, and you could have easily just brought anybody else in. It's like, hey, I'm gonna move on from this kid. Solomon had already got his undergraduate
Yeah.
and his master's degree at that particular
Sure.
time. And Coach Shignetti found enough value in him, in his leadership and his work ethic, to say, hey,
Right.
I'm going to bring you along with the other guys that I bring along up here to help usher my time in Indiana. And it was a blessing to him because of the things that they accomplished last year and the things that they are on the brink of accomplishing this year. These are lifelong memories for him. Whether he goes on to play on the next level or not, that's not the issue. That's not the goal. It's like, man, these are memories. This is like playing. This is your Super Bowl. This is your opportunity. These are the things you're going to talk about with your kids, your sons, your daughters. And not only that, the
Yes, sir.
lessons that you've learned throughout all of this to get to where you are right now. So now my wife and I message to
Yes.
Solomon each and every game is, hey, don't take this time for granted. Enjoy it. Take it in. Breathe it in. Feel it. Understand it. And don't just pass by this time in your life, because this is a great opportunity for you, regardless of what's going on with your playing career later.
Right.
Yeah.
I was following you and your wife on social media the day of the Big Ten championship
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
and I can only imagine how proud you guys were. I mean, you could feel it in your posts, but being at the game,
It
knowing
is.
that your son
I
is
saw
an
something.
integral part
I
of
couldn't
this
remember, but it was
success
on social media.
must have been the
And
greatest
it was
feeling in the
somebody,
world.
it was a gentleman talking about, if you really think about it, your parents, your parents are the only people that want to see, not necessarily want to see you succeed. I gotta remember it. It was like your parents are the only people, or your dad is the only person that wants to see you really better than them. You know what I mean? Like people want to see. And there's people in your life that want to see you do well, right? But they don't been like, yeah, you do well, but don't do better than I am than I'm doing, right? But I ain't wishing no hate on you. I want you to do well. But your parents and your dad are the only people that give you like a data boy for being better, like better than I am, better than me, be better than me, and that makes you proud, right? Everybody else are happy for you. Yeah, they want to see you succeed. I'm not saying people are hating on anybody. People want to see you succeed. But, a lot of people don't
Yeah,
want to see you do better than me. But your parents do. Your parents generally want that for you. And to see him in that moment, to share with his
no doubt.
teammates, to be happy to accomplish a goal like, winning the Big Ten, that's something that you're going to remember and take with you for a lifetime. And that's just it just warms my heart to see him going through this, and hopefully they continue to win and be in Miami on the 19th.
Yeah.
At least somebody can win the championship in Miami because I didn't.
Yeah, man, that would be something else. I feel
Yeah, I just thought about that. It
like
might be destiny. Van Horse is gonna win a championship in Miami.
right? Oh, that's right. That game was in Miami. Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. That'd be a huge blessing, man. Didn't come full circle. That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, Sean, man, congratulations on your success, your family's success. We didn't even get a chance to get into your wife and daughter with this huge game looming. But tell me real quick before we go, when you got this kind of layoff, have you talked to Solomon about how coach is managing their
Yeah.
time and still keeping them sharp? You know, because Alabama played this past weekend and they had a great comeback against
I hadn't
Oklahoma. I
really
mean, I
talked to
didn't
him
see
in
that coming.
detail
But how are you
how they're
guys going to stay
managing their
sharp
time, but
up until the
Coach
the the,
Signetti,
the
man,
big
he's
game?
a tactician, and he's not gonna let those guys stray off the path.
Okay.
And I'm sure, in some ways, they needed it because in the Big Ten championship, we
Yeah.
had a few nicks of some key people that needed to get healthy, which is going to be great. But he keep them boys tight to the vest. He keeps a clean schedule on to when they arrive at the site of play, as far as when they arrive in town. And so I'm sure he's going to have those guys ready to play. And Indiana's number one, and I don't think he's going to let them believe that they number one in the country. And I don't think that Alabama believe that they number one. So I think they still going to have that underdog mentality, like and come out that way, the same way they came out and even higher in that Big Ten championship, because they're not a name that's been there, right? And so a lot of times people get to looking at the name that's in the front of the jersey. They the blue bloods. They've been there,
Yeah.
but that that's a different
Yeah.
Alabama. This is a different Indiana. And Coach Signetti always said, like, when they play Penn State, like, yeah, you guys haven't beat Penn State in I don't know how many
Yeah.
years up in Happy Valley. And he's like, this team hadn't played there yet. This team's first year playing it. So this team. He's gonna have them boys right, and they're they're a good group of guys. Man. They love one another. They play for one another. They play for their
Right.
coach. Their coaches are dialed into the game plan and what they need to do. So I'm excited for all them guys, man, and I'm looking forward to a great game, and I'm looking forward for a victory.
Yeah. Yeah. What a great season. What a memorable season your son is having.
It
You got a
doesn't, it
Heisman
doesn't, but
Trophy winner. You
still
got a
games
Big
to be
Ten
played.
championship.
Don't
Here
look
you are on the
forward.
cusp of playing
Don't
for the
look forward.
national
Take it one
title.
game at a time. And
Don't
I
get much
think
better than that,
this
my
time
man.
off is going to help them, and I think they're going to come out ready and prepared like they've always
Yes,
done.
indeed.
I appreciate it.
For
I
sure.
appreciate it. We need it.
Hey, well, I'm hoping so, man. I'm pulling for him, man. You know that. Yes, indeed. All right, Sean, I appreciate your
Thanks,
time,
brother. I
man. Merry
appreciate it.
Christmas to
Tell the
you and the
wife I
family.
said hello, and
Give my best to Julie and
I
your
look
daughter.
forward to
And
redoing this.
may y'all travel
We were talking
safely. And
about
I look forward to speaking to
national
you after the game
championship.
with the
Maybe have
W.
Solomon on or something talking about it. So thanks, man. Have a good one. Appreciate you.
Yes, indeed. We'll do it. We'll do it. All right, my man. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Yes, sir. Peace.